Welcome DYC, welcome to the second part of our devotion through John's Gospel. We're going through John's Gospel at the moment. Last week we looked at John 1 verses 1 to 18 and we spoke about how Jesus came to earth to reveal the Father. This week we are looking at verses 19 to 28. So I'll go straight in there, guys. I'll read it to you and then we'll quickly talk about it. So it says, "Now this was John's testimony when the Jewish leaders in Jerusalem sent priests and Levites to ask him who he was. He did not fail to confess, but confessed freely. 'I'm not the Messiah.' They asked him then, 'Who are you? Are you Elijah?' He said, 'I'm not.' 'Are you a prophet?' He answered, 'No.' Finally they said, 'Who are you? Give us an answer to take back to those who sent us. What do you say about yourself?' John replied in these words of the Isaiah the prophet, 'I'm the voice of the one calling in the wilderness, make straight the way for the Lord.' Now the Pharisees who had been sent questioned him. 'Why then do you baptize if you're not the Messiah, nor Elijah, nor the prophets?' 'I baptize with water,' John replied, 'but among you stands one you do not know. He is the one who comes after me. The straps of those sandals I'm not worthy to untie.' This all happened at Bethany on the side of the Jordan where John was baptizing." There's a lot in that passage, guys, but just a brief summary of what we just read. The Jewish leaders were sent to question John why he was baptizing people. That would have raised eyebrows at the time, why he was doing that. But John was very humble in his response. He says, "I'm not worthy to untie. I'm just doing what God has called me to do." And I just want to draw out a couple of things from that, things that we can reflect on this week is, and firstly, John's humility. John was so humble. He said he wasn't a prophet. He wasn't the Messiah. He just said that he was doing what God had called him to be. And whatever we do with our lives, God calls us to be humble. We need to be humble like John. And John was so humble in his response. Whatever we do, God's put a calling over our lives. And if it's a school now, just being faithful to what you're doing at school. Be humble at school. So that's the first thing. But secondly, John was obedient to his calling, and you'll grow up and I'm sure you'll find out what your calling is eventually. But it's important that we are obedient to what God calls us to be and do with our lives, and that's quite difficult sometimes with peer pressure, with people with their opinions questioning us. But we just need to be obedient to what God has called us to be and be faithful no matter what. People thought John was a weirdo. He was in the wilderness eating honey and grasshoppers. But he was just so faithful to the calling that God has put on his life. But thirdly and lastly, John recognised that he is not worthy. Even though Jesus describes John as the greatest prophet ever in Matthew 11:11, John recognised his unworthiness compared to Jesus, who is worthy, who is so holy. And he says, "I'm not even worthy to untie the straps of Jesus." And we need to recognise that we are not worthy. We're not perfect. We're not holy. There's only one, and that is Jesus. But he still loves us. He still loves us, and he still has chosen us. So those quick three things: to be humble, to be faithful and obedient to the calling over our lives. But here for now, at school, whatever we're doing, just be faithful to what we can do now. But thirdly and lastly, we need to recognise we're not worthy compared to Jesus, who is worthy, who is perfect and holy, but he still loves us no matter what. So guys, be blessed. I hope this has encouraged you, blessed you, challenged you in some way as well. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week where we will do the next devotion. May God bless you. Bye.